to be backing the nation at this point, but it's going to be very, very hard.
Joe, thanks so much. Joe Floto there, live now to Dan Arbel, who is a former senior official in Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, now a scholar at American University's Center for Israeli Studies, joining us from Washington. I wonder how it is for you so far away watching these events unfold at home, Dan.
Well, it's very difficult watching it, especially when I have children and family that have been in and out of bomb shelters all day, and just trying to stay safe. So, and definitely this is unprecedented scenes that we're seeing. Haven't seen anything like it in the history of the country, and there's still a lot to come yet. And it's a very concerning and a very frightening situation.
I have seen people today on Israeli social media describe this as Israel's 9/11. Do you see it in that way?
I can understand that. Definitely, it has a lot of ingredients that spell out a major failure by the Israeli leadership, by Israeli intelligence agencies. And again, this is something that, as your correspondent in Israel has indicated, this scenario was Israel was preparing for it for year after year. This was something that was known, that Hamas has this plan in the drawer. But finally, when Hamas took this, made this step and conducted this offensive, then Israel was caught totally off guard and unprepared and allowed this to happen. This is something that definitely will reverberate in Israeli society and Israeli establishment for years to come.
How did they let that happen? Because I was looking at the live page of Haaretz just a few hours ago that said that senior security officials estimated only last week that Hamas wishes to avoid a war. That was their calculation. How did they get it so wrong?
I really, this is something that's going to be part of an inquiry commission that would probably be established once the dust settles. But right now, the entire focus is on the fighting, the response to what happened this morning, and especially to the hostage situation, which you both described earlier, which is at the center of this, where you have dozens of citizens and just soldiers in the hands of Hamas in Gaza or held hostages around the country, in Israel, in the south. And this is something that, in the immediate term, as for whose fault exactly it is and how this exactly happened, there will be ample time to deal with that. But right now, I just don't know exactly how this took place. But certainly, the decisions or the writing on the wall was not read properly, and the Israeli agencies in charge certainly misinterpreted the signals that were being sent.
Dan, we now know some of the figures involved in terms of the IDF, and they're calling up reservists too, prepared to call up hundreds of thousands, we've heard. Do you think that there is going to be a ground operation, a ground offensive into Gaza?
I believe so. It's not going to be right away, but it will be pretty soon. I believe it will be a major ground operation. But I think that the Israeli leadership needs to be clear as to strategic goals, because, it can enter and go back and can occupy part of the Gaza Strip and return, but it needs to set clear goals as to what it means, what it's trying to achieve. I'm sure it will, surgically strike Hamas targets, try to eliminate Hamas leaders in the Gaza Strip, try and seek a way to find a solution to this hostage situation, and also, create.
What do you think the long-term strategic goals should be with Gaza once this hostage situation is resolved?
No, there is no military solution to the Gaza crisis. It has to be political. It has to be part of a package deal involving, eliminating Hamas, but bringing back the Palestinian Authority to govern over Gaza. And that's something that needs to be, but this is something that cannot happen, will not happen overnight. It takes time. And this should be the goal of the Israeli leadership at the moment. But at the immediate, right now, it has to focus on, self-defense, pushing off this offensive and trying to achieve strategic gains within Gaza territory to stop this rocket launching and these infiltrations into Israeli territory.
The Hamas leadership has been giving statements today, and one of them says that the storm began in Gaza and will expand to the West Bank. How concerned are you also now that the West Bank will get involved, possibly Hezbollah in Lebanon too?
So absolutely, this is the next set of concerns is definitely the regional aspect, and of course what you mentioned, the West Bank and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Mohammed Deif, the head of the Hamas military wing, yesterday called for an overall uprising along Israel's borders and inside Israel by Israel's Arab citizens. So definitely this is something next to watch for. Right now, the situation in the West Bank is relatively calm. On the Lebanese-Israeli border, it's pretty calm as well. I hope it stays that way, but no one can guarantee that. Definitely, Israel is gearing up for a possibility that it will face a multi-front campaign or multi-front war in the coming days.
And sitting in Washington, I mean, we know the UN Security Council is going to meet on Sunday. We've had very firm messages of support from President Biden, from the Pentagon and things today. But what are your expectations, particularly of America at a time like this?
So Biden called Netanyahu and reassured him of U.S. support and expressed his concern over this the horrific events. I think that the U.S. will back Israel for the time being, will not tie Israeli leadership's hands, and will allow Israel to conduct, its campaign. Depends how long this will take, and but within a few weeks, perhaps they may go back and review their policy. But right now, there's full, unwavered U.S. support for anything that Israel decides to do in the coming days.
Dan, it's been very good to get your thoughts. Thank you for joining us. Let's just show you